People are stupid.
Live to tape.
Welcome to Millennial 543. I'm Andrew.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Pamela.
Today is a big day. Tuesday, November 12th. Disney Plus is here. We're recording on Monday night, so we don't get to play around with it yet. But this is a really, really big deal. Disney CEO Bob Iger has been saying for about a year now that Disney Plus is the top priority at the company because I guess he sees it as the future of Disney. And this is the first time that every single freaking Disney movie, TV show is going to be available in one place, except for some titles that are now offensive. Pretty much everything's going to be there. They even announced that some Marvel movies are going to be available on launch day. They announced that Monday. Some of them weren't going to be there, including Avengers Endgame and the Captain America titles. But they worked out those deals, those exclusivity deals with whoever currently has the rights. And so those will be there too. And plus there's going to be Disney Plus originals like High School Musical, the series. Jeff Goldblum has his own show. There's a live action Lady and the Tramp. There's, of course, Star Wars, The Mandalorian. That's the first live action Disney show ever. Which interestingly, they have not screened for critics, which is a little worrying. They say, oh, it's because we want to keep the spoilers locked down, but that's never a good sign when they don't show it to the press in advance of it coming out. So we'll see how that is. Big question, though, with all this content available on Disney Plus, what the hell are we going to watch first? Do you two know?
I think I'm just going to watch The Mandalorian because I got to get in on that water cooler talk. You know,
yeah,
and by
right?
water cooler, I mean I need to get on Twitter and join in on the conversation.
Have you seen the new Star Wars live action series? I heard on Millennial, it's the first one ever.
Yeah. But in contrast to your point about the screening, like, yeah, I guess it could mean that it's not very good and we're all going to be super disappointed. But I just kind of assumed it's like an easy way for them to build up suspense. It's like, oh, we can't let anybody see this. You know how like Game of Thrones technically didn't give out screeners to anybody.
Right.
And I feel like it's kind of their flagship show starting out.
Yeah.
So it makes sense to me.
What are you going to watch first, Laura? Do you know?
To be honest with you, I'm so overwhelmed. I don't even know where to begin. I might just fall back on like rewatching Endgame.
A movie that came out 5 months ago.
Yes. I've looked at the catalog and it's like almost too much. I don't know. I think I'm going to spend the first 24 hours just being like completely overwhelmed and not knowing what to do with myself.
So just my normal night browsing Netflix and reverting back to Friends or Hercules.
The safe choice that you know won't let you down. I don't know what to watch first either. I've discussed this with Pat a little bit. He thinks we should watch Snow White just because it was the first ever Disney movie. So kind of being corny and...
Yeah, but do you really want to watch Snow White? That's like
No.
kind of a boring one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So we're not really sold on that yet. I would just like to watch maybe some of the classic animated movies first. It'll be so cool to have those easily accessible. Disney Plus, a lot of the content is apparently in 4K, so I'm going to be very curious to see how that looks. They have not been available in 4K. That's double the resolution of 1080p, if you don't know what 4K is. So I'm curious how that turned out. They weren't available in 4K on Netflix or even on iTunes. So I'm ready to get nerdy tomorrow with Disney. And it looks like it's going to be out at 6 a.m. Eastern. At least that's when they're going to start rolling it out. So we'll see how that rollout goes tomorrow, because I imagine a ton of people are going to be trying to log in at once.
Crazy that they're not doing it at midnight.
Yeah, I kind of thought about that too, because if it's in the middle of the night, less people will hit it at launch.
Right. But maybe it's because maybe it's like a worldwide thing. I can't remember exactly which territories are getting it at the same time as the United States. But I
Some
guess
others
3
might
a.m.
be.
maybe would make more sense if you're looking at Europe too, like lining up time zones. I don't know.
Our social media manager says it's just the United States. I know the UK isn't getting it till March. Like, what the
Well,
hell?
that sucks.
Yeah, right?
Wishful thinking. I'm so sorry for anybody that I, built out just now.
So wait a
Got their hopes
second.
up.
You're telling me the UK might get Brexit before it gets Disney Plus?
Yes, that's how far away the Disney Plus launch date
Oh.
is.
That's just cruel and unusual punishment.
Some other exciting news this week here in America, again, only limited to Americans. Instagram has announced that they are going to start removing the like counts from our feeds beginning this week in the United States. It doesn't sound like it's going to roll out to everybody immediately, but they are bringing this test to the US. We spoke about this on the show a few weeks ago. I am very excited about it. I think you two are as well. It's just stressful to work for the likes and to worry about how many likes you're going to get. I think this is a really good move, and Instagram is only calling it a test, but I think this is going to be rolled out for everyone, everywhere in the months ahead. Woohoo!
Yeah, I hope that it creates an environment where stuff feels less manufactured. Like every time I get on social, I'm like, oh, everything's so fake. Fake, fake, fake. Like every time I scroll, I'm like,
Fake
this
news.
is not real. You clearly used approximately 8,000 filters on this picture. Your skin is not this clear. Unless you use BioClarity.
So wait, are you saying that people aren't going to use filters now because they don't need to worry about the likes?
I think that maybe things will feel just less manufactured in general because people won't be posting to get likes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I could be posting more because I want all my posts to have lots of likes. So I only post when interesting things are happening to me, which is like once every 3 months these days.
And I know that obviously this is a response to the self-worth thing. Like, obviously I know that that's like a big reason why Instagram is doing this. But I can't help but wonder if it's also meant to be a direct response to Visco, which is super popular right now. It's been popping off specifically over the past year because of the rise of, the Visco girl trend. But they notoriously don't show like counts. So a lot of the Gen Z users of this app actually like prefer it, even though I think to access everything you have to pay, like they would prefer to pay to use a service like that where they don't have to be consumed by, the numbers.
Yeah.
And I feel like that speaks volumes, especially if they're trying to, maybe entice those people to come back to Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't have like the exact numbers for Visco, but I just do know that, it's written about a lot in a lot of these culture think pieces as well. So
I think Instagram should get rid of follower accounts next. Do we really need that on Instagram?
I mean, there are some influencers whose entire marketing budget is based on their follower count.
So maybe we can give permission to brands to see those numbers so they can know how much to pay these influencers. But I don't think we in the public need to see those numbers. The one place where I do like to see the numbers are on YouTube, because then I know if a video is really good or not.
yeah. I think that's actually, I do the same thing. I love to cross-reference subscriber count versus view count because I think that's really interesting.
I find the follower counts pretty kind of stressful. I don't know. I don't care about that as much, but I still think it sets up this battle on these social media networks. And I can't imagine what this does to middle schoolers and high schoolers. Like, I see my little cousin being like, be sure to like my recent, be sure to follow me, etc., etc. The most popular people on Instagram must sit at certain tables at school these days because it just seems to define who people are. And it's sad. So to hell with that as well.
Yeah, back in my day, we just passed notes.
Anyway, so little announcement. As we prepare for 2020, we have launched a listener survey that we would love for you to take. We want to know what you think we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and what you'd like to see more or less of here on Millennial. This is going to be an anonymous survey. It's only going to take a few minutes of your time, and you can check it out by looking for the link on social media and on our website. It's really just going to help us as we plan for the year ahead. So we're very excited to launch this, and we're very excited to hear from everybody. The survey, like I said, is open now, and it's running through Friday, November 22nd. So please just take a minute out of your Disney Plus binging to fill out the survey. And don't worry, we'll send plenty of reminders so you don't forget to take it, because we'd really love to know what you think of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And the survey will help us improve everything, including our Patreon. And speaking of our community of financial backers, what are we doing in After Dark today?
I think we're just going to talk a bunch of shit, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Ooh, I've got some shit lined up.
Me too.
Same.
Man, all the tea is going to be in After Dark today.
Note 1. Andrew, tell us about your trip. So I will tell you about my trip, but I'm not going to tell you where I went.
Rude.
Are you embarrassed?
I'm not embarrassed. I don't want anybody to know where I went, because then they're going to say, why didn't you tell me I was there?
Oh.
Should we place bets on whether he was in Atlanta or San Francisco? That would be really funny.
If I went to either of those two places, you'd have a right to be pissed at me. But I didn't. I didn't.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
We also got quite a bit of listener feedback about fast forwarding through podcasts and audiobooks in particular. So I'll just preempt reading this feedback by apologizing. I think I was kind of shitting on the concept of fast forwarding through podcasts, and it turns out it is really useful for a lot of folks. Becky said, I'm guilty of listening to Millennial at 1.5 speed. Sorry if that's scandalous, but I'm from Australia, and I think Australians tend to speak faster than Americans. So 1.5 speed feels more natural to me. I actually used to listen to Millennial at double speed until Pam joined, but had to slow it down because she speaks a bit faster than Andrew and Laura. And I'm not crazy. Yeah. Apparently Becky slows it down to listen to the Washington Minute, but she speeds it up for Andrew's jokes because apparently they're funnier at 1.5 speed.
What? What the hell? Okay. That's flattering, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it's fun. Your jokes are funnier in Australian cadences.
That's my new Twitter bio, Andrew. Only funny at 1.5 speed.
That's pretty good.
I like it.
It's too bad you're not on dating sites anymore. I feel like that would definitely pique the boys' interest.
True.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you like how fast I can move my tongue at 1.5 speed?
Christina said, I hate slow talkers. I understand podcasters and YouTubers typically talk slow to speak clearly enough for listeners, but slow talkers just get under my skin. I'm just thinking, get to the point. I won't go to 2 times speed because it's too much, but 1.25 or 1.5 is perfect. I don't think I'll use this Netflix feature because shows and movies are meant to give you a certain vibe while watching that speed will change, whereas I'm just listening to podcasts and YouTube videos to absorb information.
Yeah.
Well, you know, podcasts are meant to give you a certain vibe too. It's supposed to be intimate,
Right.
soothing tones. I'm kidding. And Bella said, I listen to audiobooks at higher speeds because it sounds like they're reading in slow motion otherwise. So it sounds normal faster. To Pam's point, I'm used to it. I've read almost 70 books this year, and yes, I process it.
Good for you, Bella.
I wonder if these people who make audiobooks, is there like a certain speed that they have to speak at? I wonder if they start talking too fast, the producer is like, no, slow it down, slow it down. People are idiots. They need to hear this at a slower speed.
Well, I also think it's because it's really a performance piece at the end of the
True.
day, right? So in along the same veins as I think Christina was saying about, like movies setting a specific pace to make you feel more embedded in the story. I wouldn't be surprised if the same went for an audiobook recording.
Yeah.
What I think is so funny is that growing up and in school when we were doing presentations, I feel like we were always taught to slow down when we're doing public speaking.
Yeah.
Because people tend to be nervous and talk really fast. And the tip that I always got from teachers was talk at half the speed that you think you should be talking, and you'll probably be just about right. So that's been what I've done for podcasting pretty much for the last 15 years. And now I feel like we're having this cultural shift where people are like, no, I want to consume faster.
And by the way, I do know that I talk fast. I think that it's have to do with just, I know that I talk faster in Spanish too, because it gives me less, like I don't trip over my words as much if I get it out faster. But I also feel like it's the Gilmore Girls effect. Like clearly I was very, very impressionable when I started watching that show as a teenager. And I feel like that's one of the things that rubbed off.
I've actually never noticed this, that you talk faster.
No, I don't feel like you talk fast.
My grandpa, my mom's dad, used to say, even when I was younger, he was like, that girl's going to be in broadcasting because she talks really fast, just like the news anchors when they have to hit the times.
Oh,
and so it's been a running joke in my family since as long as I can remember. But I'm glad that I sound normal to you guys. I just know that it's something that I've been aware of for a while.
You do. Well, for those of you living a fast-paced life, let us tell you about the perfect flats for life on the go. Rothy's. Rothy's makes stylish shoes for women and girls out of recycled plastic water bottles. They're really the perfect blend of style and sustainability and have become my most used and loved shoes. I've been rocking my pointed flats in plum with baby blue racing stripes for a year and a half, and they are still going strong through work, date night, countless happy hours, and weddings. Pam, I know you've fallen in love with your Rothy's too.
Yeah, I love that they're machine washable as well. Like I'm going to do laundry tonight and I'm going to pop my Rothy's in there with my sheets. And I just really love knowing that when they come out and they're dry, they're going to look basically brand new.
And that's because Rothy's are seamlessly knit using thread made from plastic water bottles. So on top of that, they're also ultra comfortable as soon as you slip them on. And they're super cute. They launch new colors and designs every few weeks. I've actually got my eye on the Spruce Prep loafers myself. It'll blow your mind that these things are made from plastic water bottles. In fact, Rothy's has diverted over 35 million water bottles from landfills. That's a lot of plastic that isn't floating around in the ocean. And it's the ultimate way to say, okay, boomer, this Thanksgiving without having to open your mouth and argue with your Republican uncle. Check out all the amazing styles available right now at rothys.com/MILL. That's rothys.com/MILL to get your new favorite flats. Comfort, style, and sustainability, these are the shoes you've been waiting for. Head to rothys.com/MILL today.
Good thing to ask for over the holidays, too, I think.
Definitely.
So it's time now for Millennials in Media. We started this segment last week. From time to time, we're looking at these headlines and they're talking about millennial this, millennial that. Well, is it true? We tried to answer that for you. There's a new headline from CNBC this week. Troubling health habits could cost millennials more than $4,500 a year. This new report is from Blue Cross Blue Shield, my healthcare provider. It suggests that millennials could see an income reduction of $375 per month by 2027 due to an increase in the following when compared to Gen X rates: high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, nicotine dependence, hyperactivity, which is something I had to Google just to make sure I knew what it meant. That means you're too freaking busy. And major depression. Half of millennials and 75% of Gen Zers have quit jobs for mental health reasons. So if I'm understanding this correctly, Laura, help me clarify here. It's saying that because we're spending more on healthcare, or is it because we're missing work more due to these?
It's a combination of factors. Really what it's looking at is that due to the increase in these particular health conditions, combined with the fact that we're missing work or quitting jobs, we could be seeing an overall income reduction of $375 a month because of lost wages and spending on healthcare.
Which is a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's potentially half of somebody's rent or
that's a
all
car
of their
payment.
healthcare.
A really expensive car payment, but that is a car payment.
Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, I don't have most of these things, but I've definitely had major depression.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in the throes of that, it definitely impacted my productivity and my work output. So this definitely resonates with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that resonates with me too. I've never quit a job for mental health reasons, but I have taken an extended leave of absence. Most recently, I did that, I think, like almost a year and a half ago or 2 years ago. And I took a month and a half off of my second job because I just couldn't deal with it anymore. And it really sucks. The good thing is like I never called out sick. So I had a bunch of sick time that they could use. But I think about all of these people that don't have that saved up, you know, and then they're looking at not having the same amount of income.
But see, it sucks because it's kind of this double-edged sword. Like, it was good that you had all that sick time, but the fact that you didn't take any of it in the lead up to this may be part of the reason why you needed to take the leave from work anyway, you know?
Oh, 100%. I know that it contributed to the slow demise of my mental state. That's like, I don't think that I could even argue with that. But at the time, I don't think I realized that. I just thought I have to come in because if I don't come in, who's going to be doing this job? And then I'm going to be leaving like this person out in the dust. Instead of stopping to take care of myself, I was literally putting everything and everybody else first. And that's not the way to do things at all.
And that
it adds like, I mean, a lot of this too comes into the hyperactivity portion of this discussion too. Like I was literally working 2 full-time jobs, and that's crazy. And people, I know that I'm not the only person that does that. Like so many people do that.
Yeah. And I think this is a big problem, especially in American work culture. Generally speaking, in American work culture, you're not really encouraged to take your sick days. Like you might have them, but in a lot of workplaces, you end up paying a small price for actually taking sick time, whether it's like missing out on opportunities or having a boss who's just shitty and takes it out on you. That's a reality for a lot of people. And there's something about American work culture that's like, you're not working hard enough if you're not suffering. And sometimes people turn it into like a suffering Olympics. Like, oh, I only slept for 4 hours last night because I had this big deadline, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, actually, there have been numerous studies that show when people are that overworked and tired, they're not as productive.
It's stunning to me how some people like to always talk about how busy they are, whether it's on social media or if you're hanging out with somebody in real life. And they just can't stop talking about it. And I'm like, why do you want to brag about that? Sure, keeping busy can be good. But when you talk like being busy is you're completely consumed with work, why do you want that? Why do you want to be consumed with work? 50 years from now, if you look back on your life, are you going to be proud of all that work? Or are you going to wish that you spent more time, having a life?
I catch myself doing this, especially if I haven't seen somebody in a while. And I was trying to think about why I do this the last time it happened, because I always hate myself after, because I don't want to be that person. And I think it's just because we equate being busy with being successful. Yep. So the more I have coming down the pipeline, the less this person has to worry about me. You know what I mean? Especially like in my line of work, which is like freelancing, people just are like, oh, like, how do you even like live? How are you not like living under the bridge? And so I think that I have a tendency sometimes when, I get defensive over the way people are asking me questions about work to make myself seem so busy so that, the success rate sounds higher.
And it's something to say. We all say here on the show that we really don't do much in real life, which sometimes I don't know if that's really true. But it's better. So when you're socializing with somebody, when they ask you, how's life? You can't just say, good, I'm working. You have to color that a little bit. So I'm working and I'm so busy. Whenever I socialize with people, usually my go-to line is, oh, good, keeping busy. Same old, same old.
Sometimes I don't know what to say.
It's just, the thing is too, is like, I think that, I just want to dodge the, oh, have you tried this? It's almost like if you're not busy enough, people are out there that will be like, oh, like maybe you should do this too, because clearly you have the time.
Yeah.
which is so awful.
Yeah. Well, the thing that's really disturbing about these 6 health conditions is that things like high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, and not nicotine dependence, but those top 3, those are certainly things that can be caused by your physical habits, like a lack of working out or not eating correctly. But you are also at higher risk for these things if you suffer from major depression. Mm-hmm. So it's entirely possible that you could develop one of these conditions from being depressed. And with the rise in anxiety and depression in our generation, it's even worse in Gen Z. We're looking at a higher risk of these things because of that. I mean, like, I know when I was in grad school, I didn't have high blood pressure, but my blood pressure was elevated. Mm-hmm. And every time I went to the school clinic, they would be like, "Oh yeah, you're a little bit elevated, but that's just everybody who's in grad school." So yeah, it'll go. It'll go
every
down
time
when
I've
you're
gone
done.
to the hospital. They've said that to me, and then they go, "Oh, you're just stressed because you're here."
Yeah.
They never bother to ask about anything else.
Oh, jeez.
I think it's considered white coat syndrome, that some people are just naturally a little bit stressed. And so if you're slightly elevated from, I think the normal range is 120/70, which is the sweet spot. So if you're 130/80, I think that's only considered slightly elevated. And they kind of chalk that up to being oh, you're nervous because you're in a doctor's office. And that's kind of where I was. I was in that range in grad school, and they were like, "Oh, yeah, are you working on your thesis?" They were like, "Graduate, you'll feel a lot better."
That's normal, right?
Yeah. And it's fucked up because that's not good for you.
No, and for them to just blame it on that and move on, that's pretty bad.
I mean, they were right. Once I graduated and wasn't in that environment anymore, I became completely normal. So.
Oh, okay. Well, great docs then.
Yeah.
I'm going to become a doctor and just tell people that at schools. Oh, it's just because you're here. That's why you broke your ankle. You'll be fine once you leave.
Yeah, stop taking out student loans for this shit. What are you doing?
What are you trying to do? Pay my bills? Well, that's some interesting data and something for us to be aware of going forward, because it completely makes sense that we might be facing these types of income reductions. And so the lesson here is try to relax. Don't go to grad school.
Yeah, don't. Unless somebody's paying for it for you, don't do it. Also, use Morgan's meditation from a couple episodes ago.
Oh, yeah. Put that on a leaf and let that shit go. All right. What else is going on, Pam?
I feel like my story this week is borderline WTF news, but that's not what we're doing today. It is kind of crazy, though. So if you're familiar with old Hollywood or you're into old school film, you are likely familiar with James Dean. And even if you're not, I mean, he's iconic. He had, I think he only did 3 movies before he died in his early 20s. Oh, he's actually been dead for over 60 years, but that hasn't stopped 2 directors from casting him posthumously in their upcoming action drama. So this is a Vietnam War era film called Finding Jack, and it was trending along with James Dean this past week because of their decision to posthumously cast Dean in a secondary character role. This was just so weird because I was reading the statements from these directors, and they said, quote, "We searched high and low for the perfect character to portray the role of Rogan, which has some extreme complex character arcs. And after months of research, we decided on James Dean." So they did obtain the rights to use Dean's image from his family, and Dean's estate is currently run by 2 cousins on his father's side. But it's just mind-boggling to me that you could set out to make a movie, and instead of, holding open casting calls to find somebody that kind of has the same energy as a fallen film star, you just decide, you know what, fuck it. We're just going to use somebody that's dead and see if they'll let us do it.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at here. They're clearly not going back on this despite the backlash. They actually made a follow-up statement saying that they don't really understand why people were so upset, and then said, "We never intended this to be a marketing gimmick," because I guess people are kind of accusing them also of doing this so that more people will be aware of their movie.
What the
so even
fuck?
if that's not the case. It definitely worked.
No, that is the case. They are casting CGI James Dean to star in this movie so they can put in trailers that James Dean rises again and he's starring in his first new movie in 50, 60 years. That's crazy. That's nonsense.
This is creepy, right?
Yes.
It's creepy. Hollywood is all about the spectacle. This is definitely going to encourage people to go see it. I'm sure some people, particularly the older generations, will want to go out and feel like they're seeing a new James Dean movie again. It's going to bring back a lot of nostalgia for them. This would make me uncomfortable. It should make the estate uncomfortable. I guess the estate is making some decent money off of this.
I would think so too, and whatever agency they're with as well, because I'm sure they have to have some kind of agency involved. So I mean, at the end of the day, like, I guess at best it's a marketing scheme. At worst, it's just a way for the family to make a quick buck. Either way, I think that I definitely understand why this left such a sour taste in people's mouths.
Now, I would be sort of okay with this if this was a James Dean biopic. I think that could kind of be cool. But to cast the CGI James Dean in a new movie in which he's playing somebody else, that feels weird.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there are any circumstances in which we wouldn't find this weird. Like, I think about Rogue One, where they recreated Peter Cushing's likeness to play Tarkin.
But that was only for like 10 seconds.
He was a little longer than that, but it was definitely a shorter portion of the movie. And to me, it made sense in the context of the narrative that he would have been there at that point in the story. So, oh, sorry, my dog started barking.
No James Dean.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are some circumstances, like Andrew was saying, about maybe it being a biopic where it would be okay, but this definitely kind of freaks me out, and I do not believe for a second that this studio was not doing it as a marketing ploy. There's just no way.
The question I kind of wanted to end on was, does this set a dangerous precedent? But then I also was kind of thinking about how this isn't even the first time we've heard of, just like legendary actors and even also like recording artists specifically being resurrected in CGI form or even hologram form to continue turning a profit. I feel like we've been hearing about this a lot over the years in terms of musicians. So like, I guess Whitney Houston's family and their estate is working on maybe doing a Whitney Houston tour posthumously. And Selena, who Laura and I are huge fans of, her family has been talking about doing this for years and years and years. And it's something that I feel like has never sat well with a good majority of fans of these people. But it's clearly something that the families that run these estates have an interest in doing. And I don't really understand why.
So I like you said, I'm a huge fan of Selena, but sometimes I feel like her family is trying to keep milking this thing, because they repackage and re-release her music a lot.
Oh, I hate that.
And
so this is a sentiment that the Latinx community has had since Selena tragically died at the age of 23 in the 90s. It's like, this is why every time there's a new project, it's hard to get excited about it if you were embedded in her story from the beginning. Because if you even look at the biopic, right? The biopic that shot Jennifer Lopez's stardom when she played Selena came out in 1997, 2 years after Selena died. How long does it take to make a movie?
Yeah, so
it's like the body wasn't even cold yet.
Yeah.
Before they signed that contract. There's no way.
And the thing is, I liked the movie, but definitely in retrospect as an adult, the timing is very uncomfortable. And I love some of the stuff they've done. Like, they came out with a Selena makeup line with MAC. I think stuff like that is cool. I think you can do that to keep her legacy alive and still make money off of it. But I really don't need to see like a reanimated version of Selena. She's been dead longer than she was alive at this point, and you need to just let her rest.
It's for the nostalgia, like I said earlier, I guess. And of course, if you go to a concert, that really brings back a lot of fond memories from people. For people. Also, I'm wondering, what if CGI James Dean is a shitty actor? That's going to tarnish his image.
Right. So that's the other thing. Apparently, they obviously they're going to have to cast somebody to voice him because they can't do that with technology yet. Yet is the key word, right? Because deep fakes are getting really good. But also, I'm assuming that they're going to do some kind of motion capture, kind of like, you know, we've seen Andy Serkis do in multiple projects.
Yeah.
So there's already going to be somebody kind of playing him, but not.
Right.
Yeah.
And what if he doesn't emote well?
Well, and there's also just the uncanny valley effect as well. I think that's the one thing they haven't really gotten beyond with this CG of people at this point. So, I mean, they will eventually, but it does make me wonder if we're going to start seeing celebrities establishing in like their final will and testament that I do not want to be recreated posthumously.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Prince said that vocally many times, and they still, you know, had him performing at the Super Bowl halftime show a few years ago.
Yeah, but you know how this country is. You got to get everything in writing. Verbal
That's
agreements
true.
mean nothing.
Yeah.
No loopholes. Get yourself a good lawyer.
Seriously, we might have to do that for this podcast. Be like, I do not want vocal recreations. Once I'm dead, I'm
no
dead.
CGI me, no playing sound clips of me, no playing me back at 1.5 speed.
I'm glad you put that in there because somebody would be like, he didn't say we couldn't speed him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
exactly,
funnier at
Becky.
1.5 speed anyway.
Maybe I should only be played back at 1.5 speed. In that case.
I'm going to listen back to an old episode and play you at 1.5 speed and see.
Andrew, I listened faster and you're actually funny. I'm actually laughing now. I actually like you now.
Well, on to some other feedback. We actually heard from a listener, Lily, who lives in Hong Kong, and she had some feedback about our Hidden from the Headlines last week. She said, I live in Causeway Bay, where most of the mass protests have taken place, and there have genuinely been weekends where myself and my boyfriend haven't been able to leave our flat most of the day. Protesters have set the subway exits on fire and smashed up pro-China businesses. The police have indiscriminately fired tear gas into MTR stations and residential blocks, and there's footage of them savagely beating young people unconscious. There's also a big divide of public opinion between old and young, with my boyfriend's parents calling the protesters thugs and feckless, lazy youth, while the young people in my school wear blackface masks to school and shout chants and sing protest anthems. Just one fact check from the episode, the Hong Kong protesters aren't calling for independence in the same way regions like Catalonia are. This is a common misconception, however, as there were some people advocating for it a few years ago. This movement, however, has been triggered by 2 decades of uncertainty about Hong Kong's future as an open, prosperous city with freedom of speech. Residents are rightly very nervous about what could happen in 2047 when those freedoms are set to expire.
Interesting.
So thank you for that, Lily. Appreciate the perspective there.
Yeah.
And be safe.
A new study has found that some grads would spend a week in jail to cancel their student loan debt, and we're going to talk about that in a moment. But first, I want to tell you about our next sponsor of the week, Joybird. Fall is the season for all things cozy, and there's no better place to snuggle up with a good book and tea than your very own home. Don't I know it after being away for a few days in a mystery city. And to add to that coziness, you need furniture that is uniquely you. So whether you're hosting a family at Thanksgiving, your own Friendsgiving, or just want to spend a night in, with Joybird, you'll be doing it your way. Joybird helps you do that because it doesn't matter if you're more of a neutral beige or blue or purple, green, orange, whatever. If you can dream it, Joybird can build it. In addition to their insane level of customizability, Joybird offers 2 more unique features. If you need help designing your perfect piece of furniture, Joybird offers free personal design consultants to help you go from inspiration to creation. If you're anything like me, you stress over every little detail, which may lead you to get stuck and not make any decisions. Luckily, Joybird is there to help you make smart choices. The other cool benefit of going with Joybird is that they give you a 365-day home trial. Skip the furniture store and bring the showroom home, and you'll get free returns within the first 2 weeks of delivery. Create furniture that matches your own fearless style at joybird.com/millennial25. See how Joybird can help make your dream space a reality today at joybird.com/millennial25. Again, go to joybird.com/millennial25 and receive an exclusive offer for 25% off your first order by using the code millennial25.
All right. Well, Pam and I called it a few weeks ago. CBS is reporting that some grads would spend a week in jail to cancel their student loan debt. We were inspired to make that prediction based off of Felicity Huffman's just horrible 2-week prison sentence in a white-collar facility where she got to sunbathe and watch TV. And actually, she got turned loose a few days early. So we were all kind of like, hey, if we could get the Felicity Huffman treatment, I would totally go to jail to cancel my student debt. So I thought this would be a good opportunity for us to see, like, would we actually be down to do this?
Well, first of all, why would you deserve Felicity Huffman's treatment? How about you go through jail like a real prisoner?
Because she got to go to, like, basically staycation jail for defrauding universities out of tens of thousands of dollars and getting her child in undeservedly. Pam and I actually earned our fucking degrees and paid for them.
That's true.
Okay, fair point.
It doesn't have to be like, I don't need them to roll out the red carpet. Just like a low security prison would be nice, you know?
Yeah, I don't want to die to get my loans paid off.
I'm not trying to get shanked in the middle of the night, but
Make out with some women in the shower, sneak some cell phones around, do some drugs.
I mean, sure.
Oh, okay.
So something that I think would be interesting to consider here is there are certain caveats to student loan forgiveness programs that exist already. Like the fact that when I finish paying off my loans in 22 years, there will be a substantial portion of my loan balance that'll be forgiven at that point. Because at the end of the 25 years, it's for whatever is left is forgiven. But the amount that is forgiven gets counted against you as taxable income the following year. So how would we feel about that still applying to this prison sentence? Like if we went to jail for a week and then the following year they were like, hey, you had like $80,000 forgiven, so that's going to count as $80,000 towards your income for last year. Would we be down still?
Oh,
That's kind of fucked up though, because you're
Yeah.
not making that.
right.
But they do it now as it stands.
I know,
Yeah.
but that's still fucked up.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah.
As somebody who has dealt with soul-crushing tax bills from the government, I know you can pay it off in monthly installments. So at least you'd be able to pay it off in monthly installments if you were put in that situation.
But then you're back where you started.
Yeah, but it's not.
Right.
Well, no, not necessarily, because there's not interest on that, and you have to pay it off over the course of like a year, not 30 years.
Right. But if I think about my student loan debt, which I'm set to pay off over the course of 25 years, and I got that all forgiven over the course of 1 week, and then I owed a tax burden on that amount for 1 year, I would basically be back where I was. Minus some of the interest, maybe.
So this study says that 89% would go to jail to have their loans cleared. Like, that is a stunningly high number to me. Do people not watch Orange is the New Black? That puts the prison system in a pretty poor light. Plus, it's been receiving a lot of attention recently because of prison reform efforts, thanks to people like Kanye and Kim Kardashian. I just don't believe that if push came to shove, people would go into prison for this.
Look, you just become like super religious or somebody's bitch and keep your head down for however long.
Mm-hmm.
I would do it for a week. If it were a week, I would do it. I would go in and probably get into a fight to establish my dominance so that I don't get killed in that week. No, actually,
Hey,
I would.
I'm a podcaster.
I feel like you're more likely to get killed if you do that.
Really? Well, maybe that's just another
Yeah.
prison stereotype that we're led to believe.
I don't know. And then it's like maximum security versus, you know?
Yeah, if it's minimum security, that's a no-brainer. If it's maximum security, I don't want to die to repay
Yeah, I
my
don't
loans.
want to die either. But we're already like dying over this crippling student loan debt. So
yeah, and the thing that's really interesting about this study is that the reason that so many people said they'd be willing to go to jail for a short period of time is that they kind of feel like their student loan debt is a form of life sentence because we are stuck paying it off for such an extended period of time. And it's not even like we're really making a dent in what we actually borrowed. I've talked about on the show before how I pay $300 a month to my student loans, and it all goes towards the interest.
Yeah.
you're basically just treading water.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
am basically paying the government $300 a month not to fuck my credit.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know. The thing is, too, is like the whole reason that we were sold more so than past generations on actually going to school and getting a degree is because we were supposed to come out of the other end making bank. You know, like it should have been a non-issue
Right.
to be able to pay it back.
Mhm.
But then with like, you know, like the cut, like, I don't know if you dealt with this, Laura, but like going to California State School, there were budget cuts. A lot of semesters, like I had to take classes that I didn't really need because the class that I needed to finish, you know, a certain portion of a major wasn't being offered. Stuff like that really screwed over a lot of people who ended up having to stay in school a lot longer and take out more and more money.
Yeah, that's actually an issue that Mark is dealing with at his school because he goes to a state school as well. And while his program is really good, he's a senior, but yet they're telling him, oh, it could be 3 more semesters. And it's like, well, wait a second. A senior, that equals 2 semesters. That is 1 year of school. And it's just sort of
Right.
commonplace and accepted that like, oh yeah, if you go somewhere that's having budget cuts, don't expect to graduate in 4 years because it's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
There were a few other things that respondents to this poll said they would be willing to do. Shaving your head.
Yeah.
I would do that to get my debt canceled.
I think I would cry, but I would probably join you.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
very vain and strangely attached to my hair, but
Oh, girl, I love my hair.
I am my
Like-
hair.
My hair, I feel like, is one of my like best features, and I'm just
it is a crown jewel.
yeah, and your hair is so gorgeous, and like
Oh
I would
my
probably I would cry with you. No, Andrew, you don't understand.
I'm just laughing at you two sucking each other off over your
Oh.
hair.
But it's
Ugh.
like Laura has really nice hair for real.
How about my
I
hair?
don't think you guys understand because I've seen it in person, and for how much you dye it, it's beautiful. It's not dry.
Because I
No
use
split ends.
Olaplex.
Well, there you go. Look, as long as I can donate all the hair I shaved to, you know, a good cause, like locks of love.
Yeah.
Is that even that bad though? Because okay, I get what you're saying, but your hair will grow back, and you can wear a hat or a wig in the meantime.
You can. No, and the thing is, neither of us is saying that we wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
It's just getting hair as long as both of our, because we both have really long hair, it would take literal years to get it
That's
back to
true.
where it was.
Because you have to cut it shorter before you can actually start growing length.
Yep. So it would be definitely a sacrifice, but it would be one I'd be willing to make. Another one that folks are willing to do is walk to work for a month.
Sure, joke's on you guys because I work from home.
I would not be lazy for a month. Wow, good on you. Thanks for helping Earth for a month.
Yeah, my work is like 7 miles each way. So
Yeah.
It would kind of suck, but I would do it. I mean, if somebody came to me and they were like, we will forgive all of your debt, you have to walk to and from work every day, I'd do it. It would suck. I would want to see if there were any loopholes. Like, can I hitchhike?
Can I take an electric scooter?
Yeah. Oh,
Or can you work remotely half the week?
yeah. I would do it, though.
That is a long walk, obviously. And I wonder...
I'd lose a lot of weight, though. So...
Yeah, you'd be so fit by the end of that.
I wonder how long most people's walk actually is, because I think if you said yes to this, you're probably a short distance away from your place of work.
Right. Like if you're a mile or less away from work, that's a no-brainer.
Mm-hmm. Also, these people are probably assholes and just assume that they would cheat anyway.
It's true, but what if there's like some omnipotent power watching you so you can't cheat?
And if you do cheat, your student loan debts are doubled.
Yep.
No.
So you can't like shave your hair off, but then make a wig out of it and then just wear it.
Oh my God.
I would just buy a cheap wig off of Amazon. I mean, at this point,
Yeah.
And then the other option, and this is the one I feel iffy about, would you be willing to relive high school to repay your student loans?
Yeah, you know what? I would do that. I feel like that would be a cakewalk.
I actually enjoyed high school in a lot of ways, so I wouldn't mind this.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
So I was homeschooled for most of high school, so that part would be fine. The part where I spent my freshman year in the public high school, I would not want to relive that. That was awful. I got bullied. Somebody pissed on my backpack. Like, it was not a fun time.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
But if the idea is that I get to relive high school knowing what I know now and with the personality and the assertiveness that I currently possess, that might be better and actually kind of satisfying.
Yeah.
I mean, realistically, that's like the only way this could feasibly work.
Right.
It's not like they're going to brief every high school student at the school you'd have to go to and be like, look, this is Laura. She's trying to pay off her student loan debt. So make sure you piss in her backpack because we need her to relive the traumatizing times of her youth.
You could punch that person before they pee on your backpack.
Yeah, I could also just tell a lot more people to go fuck themselves.
Go fuck yourself. I'm a Mugglecaster. And one day I'll do a Twilight podcast.
Yeah, you might thrive now. It's all
That's
about
true.
internet celebrity stardom.
I'm a
man.
podcaster before podcasts are even cool.
It's so funny how the tables have turned. I used to be embarrassed of being a podcast.
Yeah, we were speaking
same.
about this recently.
Yeah.
It wasn't always cool to be as nerdy as we are now.
Oh, yeah, I would thrive now.
Back in the day, we'd be called losers for getting excited about Disney Plus. Now only about half of our audience calls us losers for getting excited about Disney Plus. Well, that's interesting data.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah.
still do it. Whoever the 2020 candidate is for the Democrats should propose this.
We've spent so much time talking about student loan debt and the effects it has on people's lives that I'm not surprised that people would go to extraordinary lengths to get that debt removed. And it's a sad state of affairs when we have to be thinking about these types of things and fantasizing about them.
Yeah. It really is something that I've legit thought about
Right.
on more than one occasion.
It's also like dreaming about buying a house or having a family or, I don't know, moving to a different country. Like, gosh, what I wouldn't do for these seemingly rare opportunities, like paying off student loan debt or any debt or getting my credit cards under control, having a house, having a family, having a car, being able to pledge to Millennial on Patreon.
Hint, hint.
Time now for our confessional. I was a virgin when I started dating my now husband at 22 years old. At the time, I was embarrassed that I was so old and hadn't had sex, so I told him that I had slept with someone before him. Now it's 7 years later, and we've been married for 4 years, and he still doesn't know that he's the one who took my virginity. I feel really guilty for lying to him back then, but I don't know what I should do about it.
I don't know, maybe I am alone in this, but I don't think this is a huge deal.
No.
I don't think he'll be upset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll be
I
turned
think
on.
he could probably just laugh about it.
Yeah. I think
If he was a good husband, I would think that you know, and obviously we have no reason to believe that he's not, based on what you've written. I just feel like you'd be like, oh, I wish you had told me, because I would have made sure that you were okay. Or I would have asked you if there was something I could do to ease your worries.
And I think it's completely normal to pretend that you had sex with somebody else, because social stigma it's just not as cool to admit. So I think he would understand where you had been coming from at the time. As for waiting for so long, it'll be a fun story to retell over some drinks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true.
What you
but
should do
honestly, like, I don't know if it's, I mean, if you really feel like you want to come clean about this, you should, if it's bothering you that much. But at the same time, I don't feel strongly about what you should do here one way or the other, because I don't think that this thing really impacts your relationship. Virginity is such a stupid social construct that we make it seem like when you have sex, you're losing something. It's like, no, you're having a really important life experience.
Right. As evident by this line where you tell us that you were embarrassed because you were so old. Like, there's no right or wrong time to have sex. So
I think you should tell him, because he's going to really enjoy it. And maybe record the revelation and then maybe send it to us.
Oh my God, Andrew.
Okay, don't send it to us.
I mean, all of that is to say, I really like to take a cue from our friends Sarah and Morgan here. This is not a replacement for therapy. So if you really feel like this is something you need to dig to the bottom of and figure out like what's going to be right for you or your partner, you might want to talk to somebody just to kind of suss out those details. But honestly, it's such a shame. And we set people up for a lot of failure by making virginity such a big deal. So I wouldn't treat this like a huge deal, because it's really not.
Yeah, it's not. So don't talk to anybody. Just do it. Do it right now. Pause this podcast. Bring it down to 0.5 speed and go tell him.
I lost my virginity.
How about we tell him? Let's record something right now, and then you can play it back for him. Hey, babe, I got something for you to hear. Hi, sir. It's Andrew from Millennial. I have something to tell you. Your wife, she was actually a virgin when you did the deed that first time. I know she was performing like a pro, but that was her first time, believe it or not. And she's been afraid to tell you, but we encouraged her to tell you because it's not a big deal. And you're just getting a kick out of it, right? I know. It's funny, isn't it? I hope she's recording this. Okay, bye.
We really are a one-stop shop here at Millennial, huh?
We just take care of everything. Yeah.
Oh, that could be a new Patreon benefit. Like, subscribe at this level, and
like,
we
have
will
some bad news you want to break. We'll do it for you.
We'll record personalized messages.
Please,
for you to...
yes. Please, yes. However, we're going to have to hire personal security in case these people...
Is that the physical gift for next year?
Oh my God.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah, tell us what you want us
like
to record.
us recording whatever these people want.
That'd be so cool. That'd be a blast.
If you... Yeah, seriously, I'm all about this, and I would formally like to request 50% of the messages people want to give like their exes who suck, because I'll be ruthless. I'll be such a bitch.
Even if you don't know the whole story.
Yep. All right. Well, something else you should never be embarrassed about is finding the right bra for your tatas. Lots of women are wearing the wrong size and don't even know it, which is where our next sponsor, Third Love, can help. Third Love uses data points generated by millions of women who have taken their Fit Finder quiz to design bras with breast size and shape in mind. All breasts are unique, so why should women have to wear bras that are generally only geared towards one shape? Third Love takes into account shapes like bell, relaxed, east, west, and more. Plus, every customer gets 60 days to wash it, wear it, and put it to the test. If you don't love it, return it, and Third Love will wash it and give it to a woman in need. Third Love knows there's a perfect bra for everyone, so right now they're offering our listeners 15% off your first order. Go to thirdlove.com/millennial now to find your perfect fitting bra and get 15% off your first purchase. That's thirdlove.com/millennial for 15% off today.
Hey, Laura.
What?
I'm a patron. Could you please read this message and then I'll send it to my ex?
Wait, is this real?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love it. Hey, asshole. Why do you have to go back to Michigan and fuck your ex?
Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to isolate that and I'm going to pop it in the mail.
Oh, it's great. So I just wanted to say every time I do a Third Love read, I feel like I'm always like gesturing towards my boobs throughout the read.
Ooh.
As you should.
We have an idea for a new benefit in 2020. Kind of a new benefit in 2020. And that'll be perfect for that new benefit.
God. Just like, especially the part about like breast size and shape. I'm like gesturing towards my chest.
You're modeling like Vanna White models
like some
letters.
weird Vanna White.
Yeah.
I do feel passionate. I own several of their bras though, so
They are
it's
really
a real
nice.
endorsement. All right, we do have a Would You Rather for this week. I think this is going to be interesting on this panel. I think we're going to get some varied answers. So, would you rather be able to detect any lie you hear or get away with any lie you tell?
I think I want to be able to detect any lie that I hear. Because I'm just so over the bullshit. I think I kind of have a good lie detector built into me. Sometimes I feel pretty confident when I know somebody is lying. But I would like to know it all the time, and then I can remove that person from my life immediately.
I also feel like I have a really good built-in lie detector, but I don't think I would want to be able to detect any lie I hear, because people tell lies all the time about stupid stuff that doesn't matter. So like, I don't really need to know when somebody's telling me a white lie, for example. And I feel like if I had that alarm going off in my head all the time, it would drive me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't lie very often. And this sounds terrible, but like the only time I would genuinely lie about something is if I felt like not lying would prove very detrimental to the person or the situation.
Yeah.
So if it's high stakes enough that I do need to lie about it to protect somebody, I definitely want to get away with it. So
yeah,
I
think that I would want to be able to get away with any lie I tell.
that's well reasoned.
I would also go with that option. Mostly because I feel like I would be too scared to get my feelings hurt if I found out somebody was lying to me.
Yeah.
I would like to remain blissfully oblivious for things like Laura said, that like lies that don't really matter that much. And for the bigger stuff, I do kind of feel like you guys, I kind of know when people are being honest and truthful. So
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it awkward
purely
though?
selfishly.
Isn't it awkward when you know somebody's lying to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're
Because
like,
it's like,
you're
I'm not going to
bullshitting
tell
me.
you, but also I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes if I can tell somebody's like telling me a white lie, I'll push it a little bit and just like ask more clarifying questions.
Right.
Like, oh yeah, well, like what happened then?
Oh, really? That happened? Because I heard you were doing something completely different.
Right.
God.
It's like,
Yeah.
but didn't I just see on Instagram stories that you're actually out tonight?
Oh my so that kind of ties into one of my things on After Dark, because I had a conversation with somebody about something and then they went and posted on Facebook something that completely contradicted what they told me. And I was just like, oh my God, why are you an idiot?
And that person wishes they could get away with any lie that they tell.
Yep.
Right.
And it wasn't really a lie even. It was just like, wow, you totally flip-flopped on your position there. Okay.
Yeah. Part of lying is you definitely do have to be intelligent so you can cover all your bases and not screw up in hindsight.
Yeah, you have to commit to the facade.
Right. Paint that whole picture in your head before you start going to tell people, and then stick with it. Every little detail.
Detailed, but not too detailed.
Yeah, if there are too many specific details in a story, I'm like, this is bullshit. Like, there is no way this happened to you. Like, not that many things could not possibly have happened to you in that kind of sequence. Right. So just stop.
I think that's sometimes why, like, when crazy things happen, I take pictures of the things so I could be like, no, look, I'm serious. This is a thing that happened today.
Sometimes, and this kind of relates to our earlier conversation, but if I get sick, I feel a need to, like, justify that I'm actually sick so that people don't think I'm just, like, trying to fuck off for the day.
Yeah.
I do
stupid.
the same thing.
You
like, one time I
to.
had pink eye, which is like what adult gets pink eye. And I felt like even though my manager was like, oh, okay, that's fine. I felt the need to take a picture of my eye and send it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess that's partially because of our own insecurities. But I also have to say, as somebody who manages a lot of people at Hypable, I've encountered a lot of writers over the years who just make up excuse after excuse after excuse. And it gets to the point where you're like, how could all these things be happening to this one person? So if you're that type of person, I am expecting some evidence from you because I am sick of all these excuses as to why your shit is consistently late. Screw you. You're lying because you're just a mess and you can't stay organized. Really? Oh my gosh. Some people?
See, I'm overcompensating for all of them when I send you links to say, like, half of my county burning. Mass power outage.
I am definitely not referring to Pam, but we've had to let some people go over the years who just, man, every week it was something different. And some of the excuses. Oh, you didn't get my message I sent in Slack? Yeah, and you know I didn't get any message from you because it tells you if the message doesn't send.
I also just, like, this isn't a thing now, but definitely in past work experiences, I definitely remember the people who were always conveniently sick every Friday.
Yeah.
Oh, right before a 3-day weekend?
Yep. And it was just, like, so painfully obvious because it was the same couple of people and they did it again and again and again. And they were also the ones who, like, were perpetually stoned when they came to work. So it was just like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's what being 25 was like.
Time now for recommendations. Pam, why don't you kick them off?
I wanted to recommend the His Dark Materials series adaptation on HBO, which officially premiered last Monday. There's a new episode that will already be out by the time this goes live. I've been really enjoying this. I feel like the pacing is really good in terms of, you know, the way that the book moves through the story versus what we saw in the first episode. And I'm really excited to watch episode 2 later on tonight. So if you haven't checked that out, would highly recommend.
Would you recommend this to people who have not read the books?
You know what? That's kind of hard because I've heard mixed reactions, to be honest with you. I do kind of feel like just in general, like when you look at the book, The Golden Compass, there is a lot of setup before you get to like the really action-packed part. So I do kind of feel like the same kind of goes with the first episode. It's not enticing, but there is a lot of building up and like introducing of characters. And I really do feel strongly that, you know, in this coming episode or even in the third, we're really going to get to kind of the more actiony sequences because the main character, Lyra, is already on her way to London. So if you've read the books, then you'll know that that's really when things start to pick up speed.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this.
So if you don't like making up excuses when you are late for a social event or an appointment, may I recommend a little-known Google Maps feature, Remind Me When to Leave. So it's kind of hidden, and that's why I call it little known. I think you really have to be poking around to find it. Google Maps can tell you when it is the right time to leave based on traffic and, the time you need to walk and the time you need to catch the train, et cetera, et cetera. So if you pull up a set of directions and then you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the directions, there's a little box that says remind me to leave on time, and then you can set when you want to leave by or arrive by. I've been using this a lot lately, and I really love it because then I don't have to keep checking the clock, keep checking Google Maps to make sure that I do show up on time. I just wait for Google's notification. Hey, Andrew, it's time to leave the place. Take a little walk, then hit the train, then walk a little more, and you'll be at your destination a couple minutes early. I think this is super cool, and everybody should be using it.
I didn't know that you could do this on your phone.
Yeah.
I've definitely used it before on the desktop version, but this is like a game changer. I'm going to use this tomorrow.
I didn't know it was on desktop. Thanks for the info.
There you go.
I want to recommend Dunkin's Beyond Sausage Breakfast Sandwich. At least in my area, they finally have the Beyond Meat sausage to use on breakfast sandwiches there. I had it for the first time today, and it was good. I've enjoyed all of the Beyond Meat products that I've had so far. And this, I will say, was like very comparable to a breakfast sandwich. The flavor was very sausagey. The only thing I'll say, and it's like for any of these plant-based meat replacements, the texture's not quite there yet, but I think they'll get there eventually.
I had it as well. I was there opening day for the Beyond Breakfast Sandwich.
You would.
It was pretty good. I didn't find it as sausagey as I was expecting, but I would definitely get it again because I want to support Dunkin' introducing Beyond Meats. I will also say I am loving Dunkin's holiday cups this year. They are pink and cheery as F.
Man, my Dunkin' doesn't have holiday cups.
Oh, just you wait. Just you wait.
You know what, though? My Dunkin' does offer the drink holders. So,
yeah.
Drink koozies.
Yeah, so your hand doesn't burn. Well, mine still doesn't. I'd rather have those than the holiday cups, I think, because it's really painful. If you have anything to say about today's show, we would love to hear from you. Just email us directly, millennialshow@gmail.com, or use the contact form on millennialshow.com. We also have the confessional there if you wish to submit something anonymously. We would also love if you followed us on social media. Username Millennial Show on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. You will be able to stay up to date on the show. We post clips from the show, previews of the show. By the way, I forgot to mention that I tweeted on the Millennial Show Twitter account earlier, what are you going to watch first on Disney Plus? Kaylee said, DComs, baby. Sarah also said DComs. Colin said Snow White, had the same idea Pat did. Written That Way said Scream Team. Kate said Lizzie McGuire. So thank you to everybody who submitted various suggestions, and good luck to everybody as they dive into Disney Plus today.
Coming up in today's installment of After Dark, we're just going to be talking a lot of shit. Andrew's going to talk shit about his trip. We're going to talk about shit about like cohabitation and marriage. I'm going to talk shit on somebody I know. Pam's going to talk shit about a lady she sat next to in the movies. It's going to be so juicy. So much tea. I'm
also talking shit on alcohol.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Patreon.com/millennial is where you will be able to hear all of that today. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I'm Andrew.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Pamela.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
You made me